very important for us to get to know these things. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our deeds. And then inshallah we'll start another book in Aqeedah inshallah next time. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us life. The last three questions, the first two are related to what we said Saturday. It's about Karamat, right? Because this is one of the masail, one of the issues of Aqeedah, the issue of Al-Karamah, or the miracles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give to some people other than the prophets. The prophets, it's called mu'jiza. And the mu'jiza is the miracle that comes as a result of a challenge, challenging the people by the messenger of Allah, the people that are challenged by a miracle. Al-Karamah is something less than the mu'jiza. And then that's why he says, مَا حُكْمُ كَرَامَاتِ الْأَوْلِيَاءِ. Karamat, usually the word karama, when it's mentioned, it's related or referred to أولياء الله الصالحين, the righteous people, less than the prophets, of course. So for the prophets, the things that are supernatural or things that are not, people would know in their normal means, it's called mu'jiza or it's called miracle, right? But for the righteous ones, they are given something called karamat. And the best karamah that is given to all the righteous ones, all the righteous people that are given a special karamah which is better than all the karamat, which is al-istiqamah, to be steadfast on the deen. To be steadfast on the deen of Allah, this is by itself is a karamah. We don't want to say the word miracle, right? But in the midst of most of the human beings, they are deviated, they are disbelievers. If you obey most of the people on the earth, they will lead you astray. So for someone to be steadfast, to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know his purpose of life, this is by itself is a karamah better than 1,000 karamah. Right? As they say, al-istiqamah khayrun min alfi karamah. Al-istiqamah, to be steadfast on the deen of Allah, is better than 1,000 karamah. And the righteous people, they don't seek the karamah. You know what karamah means, right? They don't seek the karamah, they seek the istiqamah. They don't seek it. They're not looking for karamah. And if they don't find the karamah happening to them, they think, oh, they're not good people or whatever. Of course, a Muslim should always look back at himself as needs to be improved. But they seek al-istiqamah. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us not to see miracles in our life. People sometimes, they are waiting for the best dream that they can ever see. Waiting for the light to be, in front of them when they're walking in the dark. Or, something happens when they're going to the masjid and they're late for the salah. The little karamah will come up and, all the lights will be open for the person and, his car will, fly and reach the masjid. And he would think good about himself that Allah had aided him, and this can bring arrogance in the heart or liking oneself. We should not seek these things. These things happens. If it happens, people hide it. If someone happens something that to him, he should hide it. And even the dreams, if it's a good dream, the Prophet ﷺ had ordered us not to say it to anyone, say it to the one that you love, right? That you care about. So the point is, we believe in it, yes, but this is not something that is part of, the one's life that he's seeking it, he's asking for it, and things like that. We ask for al-istiqamah, to be steadfast on the deen of Allah. So when he talks about the ruling of the karamat of the awliya, he said this is haqq, this is true. We do not deny that these things happen to this ummah. As we said Saturday, that this is all part of the miracles of the Prophet ﷺ, because this karamah, if it happens to any of the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, it's because of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's part of the miracles of the Prophet ﷺ, which he says, وَهُوَ ظُهُورُ الْأَمْرِ الْخَارِقِ عَلَى أَيْدِيهِمْ الَّذِي لَا صُنْعَ لَهُمْ فِيهِ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ بِطَرِيقِ التَّحَدِّي. When something khariq that is against the normal means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. Something, is it supernatural, the right word to say? They have no action in it, they didn't do anything. It's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings to them, and it wasn't as a result of a challenge from people, right? It just happened to them, which is different than how the prophets are. It's a miracle facing the people and challenging them. Like the people of the cave in Surah Al-Kahf, and those who were trapped in the cave by the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when the rock blocked the opening of the cave, and each one of them made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking some means of their good deeds that they did. And Jurayj al-Rahib, which is also an important story to be for us to learn, and reported by Bukhari and Muslim and others, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made an infant to speak, and so on, right? So we're not going to talk about the details of that. We mentioned that Saturday, and there are many that happened to the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, as he mentioned some of them, right? We talked about them Saturday. So again, al-Karamah, we believe in it, and we don't seek it, but if it happens to someone, and it happens, it's valid to this ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, it happened to the companions of the Allah anhum, to early generations of Islam, it's still happening till the Day of Judgment. But for those who would use something like that, what happens to them, would use it to make people follow them, and to seek followers as a result of that, this is one of the signs of deviation, right? Because shayateen can do the same thing, and people can deal with the shayateen to make them, have some supernatural things, right? That's why we don't follow these miracles or the things. People look at the skies and they find the clouds writing La ilaha illallah, for example, right? And they say, wow, this is great. If it happens, mashallah. But this is not something that we're looking for, because we have in our deen what is enough for us to be steadfast. The people following falsehood, they look for these things because they have nothing. There's no truth with them. So they wait for a dream, they wait for something happens, they trick people actually. And this is something that is, till today they do that, with the light and so on, to show, for example, Maryam alayhi salam in the skies, and people say, wow, this is a miracle, and Jesus was here, and Maryam was there, and they go all over the world, and the media, and it's all tricks, and they just play these games on people. And if they don't play the games, shayateen can do these things. Shayateen can come into these types of shapes to deceive people. That's why the deen is not by these supernatural things. The deen is by the wahi from Allah. And one very important point in this, and we mentioned it before, what is the root fitna of al-Masih al-Dajjal is this. Masih al-Dajjal, the biggest fitna that ever would be on earth, from Adam alayhi salam to the Day of Judgment, most of the human beings that would follow him because of that issue. They follow something that is supernatural. He comes and he orders the skies to rain and the earth to get out its treasures, right? And he has Jannah and fire, right? And he can do whatever he wants by the will of Allah. So people, and he claims to be the Lord of the Alameen, and people would follow him because they subjected themselves that the truth is based on what amazes them, what makes them say wow and things like this, right? But for those who follow the truth is in the wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why we have to clean our hearts from these types of things. Like people, they wait for the dream, the good dream, for them to be steadfast on the deen of Islam. They wait for a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if they don't get any sign or they don't get anything, they might leave the truth and so on. The truth is the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. If these things happen, mashallah. But this is not what we make our deen depend on these things. Okay? Then the second question, Man hum awliya Allah, very briefly, and this is the subject also on Saturday. Who are the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the righteous ones and so on? It's everyone that believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have taqwa, the fear of Allah, and beautiful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and follow the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. That means that there is no such a thing of awliya Allah are special people only, that come from a special race or from a special family, or they have to be from the lineage of this. That's why the different tariqas, right, they have it by inheritance. The one that is in charge, Shaykh al-Tariqa, right, he gives it to the one after him, the successor, right? He receives the wilayah from him, right? Where is that? Where is that in the deen of Islam? That righteousness is to be inherited, Right? There's no such a thing. And anybody that would praise himself and would say that he is from the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that means these people is to run away from them. Right? Because the righteous people, they always look down at their own selves. They don't praise themselves. And there are many, many evidences that would show this. For example, as Shaykh ibn Salama, one of the narrators of Imam Bukhari, he said, من رأى أنه خير من غيره فهو مستكبر وذلك أن إبليس قال أنا خير منه فكان ذلك استكبارا. Whoever think that he is better than others, right, something like that might happen to a person, or claim that he is better than others, this is kibr. And he basically, like Iblis, he said قال أنا خير منه, said I'm better than Adam alayhi salam, and this is what arrogance is. Also, Yunus ibn Ubayd rahimahullah, he said, كنت أذاكر يوما عن الحسن التواضع. He was sitting with Al-Hasan al-Basri discussing التواضع, humbleness. So he said to him, and he asked them, أتدرون ما التواضع? Do you know what humbleness is? He said, أن تخرج من بيتك حين تخرج فلا تلقى مسلما إلا رأيت أن له عليك الفضل. That when you go out of your house, every time you see a Muslim, you should have it in your heart that this Muslim is better than you. Because you know how one's life will end. We're not talking about approving the faults of others. There's a big difference between warning from deviation and enjoining good and forbidding evil, and thinking that we are better than others. If we see someone is doing something wrong, that means we are better than them. Or something good happens to a person, so he thinks that he's better than others. We never know who his life will end how, and who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide him to repent and to follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and who will be deviated. So a person should not have this liking of his own self, and this is very important, especially with the last question about al-firqa al-najiyah, the saved sect. Right? A person should not claim that he is on it and he is on that saved group. Though we know the characteristics, we seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we imitate them, yes, and so on, but never praising oneself. And also, when Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, someone told him, Jazakallahu an al-Islami khayran, which means what? May Allah reward you for what you did for the deen of Islam. Right? Jazakallahu an al-Islami khayran. That you serve the deen of Islam, may Allah reward you as a result of that. So Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he said to him, بَلْ جَزَى اللَّهُ الْإِسْلَامَ عَنِّي خَيْرًا. Right? He said, no, what you said is wrong. That I'm nobody. He said, مَنْ أَنَا وَمَا أَنَا. Who is me? And who am I? Right? For me to benefit the deen of Islam. The deen of Islam will never be benefited by our actions. It's ourselves the one that would benefit from the deen of Islam. Not that we would give victory to the deen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make his deen victorious. So there's no need for someone to be arrogantly think that he is doing great or he's doing good or whatever. There is no. Actually, the humbleness should be there. I don't want to mention many of them, but for example, Malik ibn Dinar, this is how the humbleness of the Salaf and the early generations of Islam. He said, rahimahullah, لو أن مناديا ينادي بباب المسجد. If someone was calling by the door of the masjid, ليخرج شركم رجلا, let him come out, the worst of you, the most evil in the masjid. Somebody is standing by the door, everybody, the worst evil of you, let him come out of the masjid. He said, والله ما كان أحد يسبقني إلى الباب إلا رجلا بفضل قوة أو سعة. He said, no one will be first going to the door of the masjid unless he can walk faster than me. He thinks that way about himself. He is someone of the great a'imma of this deen. When Abdullah ibn Mubarak rahimahullah, he heard that from him, he said, بِهَذَا صَارَ مَالِكٌ مَالِكًا. This is how he became Malik ibn Dinar, by his humbleness. It wasn't a fake humbleness, because sometimes when you show humbleness, this is another means of praise, because people would say, oh mashallah, he's very humble. Right? There is no need for anyone to say about himself that he's humble or not humble. Right? This is not such a thing to be talked about. It's basically what's in the heart. The heart has to be in such a way that a person have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he might lose whatever goodness he has. And also Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, this is the last one inshallah before we continue, he said, أرفع الناس قدرا من لا يرى قدره وأكثرهم فضلا من لا يرى فضله. The best people in level and weight and best estimate is the one that doesn't see himself as anything. And the most of the people virtue is the one that doesn't see his virtue. When we talk about awliyaullah, right? Why this is important to talk about these things? Because these righteous people, they don't have a banner on themselves, right? We are righteous people. You need to follow us, right? Or things like that. No, the righteous one is the one that sees himself as less than everybody else. Is the one that sees himself as the one that need the most help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because the more the person gets to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more he would know himself. This is also one of the meanings of Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah. He said, if a person, the more the person gained the knowledge of the deen, it doesn't make him more arrogant. No, it makes him more humble because he gets to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when he knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then he reflects upon himself and he see all these deficiencies, definitely it would lead them to this level. So the people of the shayateen, they're the total opposite. You'll find them, you have to come and kiss his hand, and they take their abaya and they sell it in the auction in front of everybody, right? Like in the majlis like that, because this abaya that he's wearing is so much blessings in it, right? So people would compete who would buy the most of it, right? And take it with so much money so that they can seek these blessings from that person, or kissing their feet or making sujood to them sometimes. This is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was the one that is permissible for people to seek blessings from him when he was alive. And he ﷺ would stop the Sahaba from doing that, except in some occasions, like in the long hadith of Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, when one of the Urwa ibn Mas'ud al-Thaqafi, before he was a Muslim, when he came and he was talking with the Prophet ﷺ, and he watched what the Sahaba are doing as a result of the love to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophets, they would fight over the wudu that is falling from the Prophet ﷺ to take it, right? And that even the spit of the Prophet ﷺ, they would fight over it, right? To seek the blessings from this. As the ulama, they say the Prophet ﷺ left them at that incident so that that person would see how the Prophet ﷺ is loved by his companions. And when he went back and he said, I've been to the kings and Caesar and all of this, and I've never seen anyone love anyone more than the companions of the Prophet ﷺ loving Muhammad ﷺ. But the point is how humble they were, how humble was the life of the Prophet ﷺ, the righteous people, the ulama of this ummah, and compare this to this tyranny of those who claim to be awliyaullah when they are basically seeking other means. So this is awliyaullah, those who believe in Allah and have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. That the awliyaullah, there is no fear on them, nor shall they grieve. Who are they? Clearly stated in the next ayah, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. Those who believe and they have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's not a certificate that will be given to someone if he passes this, how many words that he would say of this dhikr or that dhikr, or he passes and the guy will give him the certificate that he is now a wali of Allah. It doesn't work this way. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and those who believe and have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the verses of the Quran that talks about this, and of course the main thing is following the way of the Prophet ﷺ. وَإِن كُنتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِ يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ. If you claim that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, follow the Prophet ﷺ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. And when you follow someone, you don't initiate things and you say it's okay. No, you follow, you wait. You see him going right, then you go right. You don't take a right and then you see where he's going and then maybe you can catch him later. You're not following him then. Right? If you're following someone physically, you do not take a step unless you would see him first. Where is he going? And this is of course the matters of the deen. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about deen, Aqeedah, Ibadah, and so on. Then the last question, he says, من هي الطائفة التي علاها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بقوله لا تزال طائفة من أمتي على الحق ظاهرة لا يضرهم من خالفهم حتى يأتي أمر الله تبارك وتعالى. Which this is the hadith in Bukhari and others, which means that the Prophet ﷺ said there will be always, continuously, طائفة, a group from my ummah, على الحق ظاهرة, on the truth clearly, and holding fast to the truth, لا يضرهم من خالفهم. It does not hurt them or affect them, those who disobey them or different than them. Till the matter of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes, that means they would continue to be steadfast on the truth, doesn't matter how many people are opposing them. So who are these people? What is this ta'ifah? What is this group of the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, which means the khair, the goodness in this ummah of the Prophet ﷺ will continue till the day of judgment. And it doesn't mean that if a person sees they have these qualities, that means the rest of the ummah are kuffar, right? It doesn't mean this way whatsoever. And this is another evil route that took many people away from the truth and away from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, dividing the ummah into, basically believers and disbelievers as a result of this. And if they don't say it with their tongue, sometimes their actions would act like this. So it's very important to know these characteristics, to follow them, to be among this group of this ummah, but not to have kibr and arrogance that we are these people and everybody else is deviated. No, this is definitely not the proper way to do that. This is, as he says, هذه الطائفة هي الفرقة الناجية من 73 فرقة. This is طائفة is the فرقة الناجية, the saved sect from 73 sects. كما استثناها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, as the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم excluded it from all of these sects and groups. He said كلها في النار إلا واحدة وهي الجماعة. He said all of them in the hellfire except one, which is al-jama'ah. This is what the Prophet ﷺ defined it, that it's the jama'ah, those who are gathered on the truth. In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ described what is the jama'ah when he was asked, when he said that this ummah would split into 73 sects, all of it is in the hellfire except one. The Prophet ﷺ said, هُمْ مَنْ كَانَ عَلَى مِثْلِ مَا أَنَا عَلَيْهِ الْيَوْمِ وَأَصْحَابِي. They are the ones that are on what the same of me and my companions are on today. Very specific words are mentioned, right? Me and my companions. The Prophet ﷺ did not say what they are on, what I am on, and that's it. Would have been sufficient. He said me and my companions, right? And the significance of this. Why? Because the ummah split with regards to the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So those who do not follow the companions of Allah anhum, then they're out, definitely, no doubt. It should not be a matter of debate or this or that, but they look good, they sound good, doesn't matter. The matter should be, we follow what the Prophet ﷺ said. And today, meaning at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is what needs to be followed. We're not talking about microphones and cars, we're talking about matters of belief, matters of ibadah, this deen of Islam. To follow the deen the way it was at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is such an amazing thing. Why would someone wants to invent something? Is it not enough for a person? If it's not enough, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it tight on him. As Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he said that to the one that was debating with him. He said for something that he initiated, something that he started or innovated in matters of the deen, he said to him at the end, I think we talked about it before, but it's a good thing also to bring this debate one time. He said to him, that thing that you did, that you invented in the deen, and you can name anything, whether it's a belief, a dhikr, a way of dua. Like for example, the dua, making tawassul by the Prophet ﷺ, right? If you ask the Prophet ﷺ and you make dua to him, this is shirk, right? No doubt, and that's forbidden. But what people have differences in is if someone would make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but asking by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by your Prophet alayhi salam, do this to me. Or you're standing by the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, you're making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by making the tawassul by the Prophet ﷺ. You understand? If you say by my love to the Prophet ﷺ, this is valid, this is good, because you're talking about your actions. Tawassul, which tawassul in English, what do they call it? Wasila, or having a mean to seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by your actions, this is valid. As the story of the three, those who were in the cave, and the rock blocked them, they made dua with one of their actions. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you know that we did this sincerely for your sake, relieve us from what we are in. So it's okay to use that in your dua. You seek nearness of Allah with one of your actions. So if someone is saying in his dua, by my love to the Prophet ﷺ, which is a good deed, oh Allah forgive me or whatever, this is valid because this is your action. You seek nearness to Allah, tawassul, by your action. But if you say, oh Allah, by your Prophet, fulfill this to me or that, this is not shirk, right? But the point is, where is that in the actions of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions of Allah? This is bid'ah, this is innovation in the deen, this is dua. So why should that be a controversial issue? Is it because a person will claim that he loved the Prophet ﷺ? Loving the Prophet ﷺ, yes, definitely we love the Prophet ﷺ by following what the Prophet ﷺ told us to do. And even how to make dua and what to say in our dua, we follow the Prophet ﷺ in doing that. The Prophet ﷺ never said to us to do this. There's nothing authentic whatsoever about this. Or the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, nothing authentic whatsoever with this. It's always with the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. So the point is, when a person would initiate something like this, as Imam Ahmad said to this person, he said to him, was it spacious enough? Right? Was it good enough for the Prophet ﷺ not to do what you did? Right? He said, he has to say yes. Because if he said it's not good for the Prophet ﷺ, he's in big trouble. Right? So he said, yes, it was good enough for the Prophet ﷺ. It was spacious enough. Right? You know the expression of spacious? Was it spacious? Was it good enough for the Prophet ﷺ not to do it? He said yes. Then Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he said, فَلَا وَسْعَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكَ. Then may Allah do make it spacious for you then. If it was spacious, if it was good enough for the Prophet ﷺ not to do it, who are you to do it then? Don't do it. Leave it. Right? Make your deen is the deen of the Prophet ﷺ. So instead of saying what's wrong with it, it feels good, it's good rewards and this and that, why you're inventing something? The deen has been completed. The deen is easy. These things makes the deen difficult, and it split the people, and you find controversial issues, and can we do this, can we do that? Who's the one that started it? It's not the ones that are holding fast to the Sunnah, it's the one that started it. If they didn't start such a thing, people would just continue to follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ and everything else. So we should always remember this, هُمْ مَنْ كَانَ عَلَى مِثْلِ مَا أَنَا عَلَيْهِ الْيَوْمَ وَأَصْحَابِي. Those who are on the like of what me and my companions are on today. Can we say, based on this, okay, this is the group that are applying this, and I'm part of this group, and part of this Amir, and part of this way, if this is such a thing, we run away from this, and we free ourselves, distance ourselves from those who divide the Muslims based on groups and parties and all of these types of things. It split the Muslims. Why? Because whether you like it or not, whether it's not now, it will come later. The ummah becomes, are you with this group or with that group? Right? That means if you're not with this group, that means you're deficient. And this is such a dangerous thing. We're not talking about people getting together to organize who's going to give khutbah where and organizing some work of da'wah. This is absolutely fine. But once you have the group and the amir and the methodology and all of these types of things, it becomes basically the prejudice and us versus them and so on. The matter should be more spacious than this. And it's not a license that you give to people. Whoever is on what the Prophet ﷺ are on today, him and his companions, is what I decide who. Right? So I would pick and choose who are those people that are following. This is definitely deviation. Right? This is for every Muslim. This is a mandatory thing for every Muslim. This is not a call for a group of people with a jama'ah or amir. This is the mandatory thing for every Muslim to follow the deen like this. That's why it fits the nature of every single Muslim that loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then he says, نسأل الله تعالى أن يجعلنا منهم. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among them. وألا يزيغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هدانا, and not to deviate our hearts after He had guided us. وأن يهب لنا من لدنه رحمة, and to grant us from Him mercy. إنه هو الوهاب. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Wahhab, is the one that grants all matters of goodness. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. He ends with these verses in Surah Al-Saffat. And to get the blessings at the end of the book, he says يقول جميع غفر الله تعالى له ولوالديه فرغت من تسويده نهار الاثنين أول يوم من شهر شعبان عام 65 بعد 300 والألف من هجرة خاتم النبيين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وصحبه والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. وفرغت من تبييضه نهار الأحد 14 من الشهر المذكور. جعل الله سعينا خالصا وجه الأمين آمين. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him and forgive his sins. Stop.